This is part 69 of A Cry for Help. I just made part 69, but what the cult did with Mario Tusco, who was walking in front of our house, and now he's actually in the basement, okay, orchestrating these cyber crimes. The whole screen froze. They put a label on the screen, something like the pages are unresponsive, shockwave, flash, whatever. Do you want to stop it or use it? Okay, and then all of a sudden the whole screen got white, so I had to get off. Anyway, I want to talk about the medical corruption. Okay, I need to talk. I mean, I had medical corruption in New York, okay, with about 15 doctors, and it followed us into Vermont. Now, before I even talk about the doctors, I must talk about Mr. Cleary and Dartmouth Hitchcock Hospital with the Lebanon police and the security at Dartmouth. Because I receive counterfeit medications, insulin, on a regular basis, okay, and they don't control my numbers, okay, Joe and I decided to take a hiatus from this lethal corruption and spend like 2 days in New Hampshire, someplace nice. So we go to New Hampshire. I open a new box of insulin, and my numbers skyrocketed. And they were so high, I didn't know what to do. So we realized that box was counterfeit. I didn't have insulin to take. So we were near Dartmouth Hitchcock Hospital. That's also where I wanted to get medical care, because it's a world-renowned hospital in Lebanon, New Hampshire. And they got a great diabetic unit, outpatient. And they got a team, okay, of health professionals that are wonderful. They're world-renowned. So I wanted to go there. Like everybody else that is diabetic in Vermont, if they care about their health, they go to Dartmouth Hitchcock Hospital, outpatient. They have medical offices throughout New Hampshire, okay? So I was without my insulin because I had a box of counterfeit medications. So what does someone do? They go to the emergency room to get legitimate insulin. So my husband and I, and there's a long story before all this, okay, horrific, that happened at Dartmouth, which I can't get into every part of it because you would have to write a book. Okay, we have so many lethal violations, and it's so convoluted and complex. It's such a huge conspiracy that it never ends, and it goes out in all different areas. So Joe and I are waiting in the emergency room, and I'm like a nervous wreck because I don't like to have high blood sugars, and I don't know what to do. I'm out of my insulin. So all of a sudden, we see security come into the hospital, come into the emergency room. So because we are so astute to law enforcement and security being unlawful, I went to the front desk and I said, there's a lot of security in here. There were about 10 security officers walking all around, like roaches. I said, are they here for us? And the lady said, no, honey, they're not here for you. Don't worry. Okay, take a seat. A doctor will be with you soon. So I said, are you sure? Yes, honey. And we have this all on tape recording. To make a long story short, we're sitting, we see more security coming in. And Joe and I said, something's not right here. They come in, they pretend not to be looking at you, because the whole idea of this cult and security is you don't look at Susan and Joe until you're ready to really do what you need to do. All of a sudden, about 5 security officers, the other ones stand in the background, come over to us and say, leave now. You are trespassing on private property. So we were shocked. We said, we're in the emergency room of Dartmouth Hitchcock Hospital. This is not private property. And Joe says, my wife needs medical attention. She got counterfeit insulin, and she has no insulin to take. So one of the Lebanon police with the security says, "Oh, counterfeit insulin, really?" And they start cracking up in your face and mocking and abusing you. And then they say, "Leave now." As they are saying that, they're waving a paper in front of us. Now, there's much more to this, but I can't get into every little detail, okay? This is basically what happened. They're waving a paper in front of us. And then they said, "This is for you." So I'm trying to take the paper because I'm petrified and I need somehow, somewhere to get legitimate insulin. So I tried to get the paper and they pull it away from me, like you're a dog, okay? So I said, "Are you going to give me the paper or not?" So they wave it again in front of my face and Joe's face. And then they take it back. Finally, I just grabbed it from them, okay? The paper was from Mr. Cleary, a corrupt Nazi attorney in Rutland, Vermont. He's located on Merchants Row in Rutland, Vermont. This Mr. Cleary is a defense attorney for Dartmouth Hitchcock Hospital. Now, we all know what defense attorneys are. Defense attorneys are attorneys if an employee does something wrong. He defends the employee of the hospital. We are patients. I'm a patient of the hospital. I'm not an employee where Mr. Cleary can serve me papers. In these outrageous, unlawful papers, he writes to Joe and I that we tried to break into risk management of Dartmouth Hitchcock Hospital, and we were the same character assassination. We are threatening unruly people, and because of that, we cannot use any services of Dartmouth Hitchcock Hospital, okay? And if we do use it, court action will be taken against you. I'm getting this letter in the midst of me having high numbers and I can't get my insulin. To make a long, horrific story short, I never got my insulin. What I had to do for a long time because of the pharmaceutical fraud and the health insurance fraud, because my health insurance company wouldn't give me replacement boxes and the pharmacist wouldn't give me replacement boxes, I had to substitute my insulin with another insulin I had when I first developed diabetes that didn't control my diabetic control. I was forced to. I got high numbers because I could not get replacement boxes for the insulin that I got counterfeit. I called so many state agencies, including the FDA, the DEA, Pharmaceutical Helpline. Everyone abused and mocked us. No one would test it. Mr. Berger from Novo Nordisk wouldn't test my insulins. Novo Nordisk wouldn't test my insulins. Nobody. So what am I to do? Tell me, citizens of the world, what would you do? If you were diabetic or had some other kind of condition and you can't get your medications due to counterfeit medications, and everybody who's responsible to give you legitimate insulin will not. Could you imagine being in a situation like that? Well, I am, and I'm in that situation all the time. I never know where I'm going to get my next supplies, where I'm going to get legitimate insulin, okay, because this cult with the police who are orchestrating all these unlawful, heinous, illicit activities want me dead because we know too much and want Joe dead too. And this has to cease and desist immediately. Okay? I'm an American citizen. I am a diabetic, and I get legitimate insulins. And I'd like to give a police officer, one of these corrupt bastards who has diabetes, counterfeit insulin, and see how he feels and what he does. And I like all these pharmacists who go along with the police and the lethal cult to think, and one of the pharmacists that I know does have diabetes and uses insulin, and he still gave me counterfeit insulin. What's his name in Rite Aid in, where was that, Joe? What's his name?
I'm going to have to do something. I just introduced
Nathan, what was his name?
in Rite Aid, Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan in Rite Aid. In what part of Vermont?
in Fairhaven.
Fairhaven, Vermont, who is our corrupt pharmacist. He has diabetes. And he had the outrageous nerve to give me counterfeit insulin. And not only does Nathan have diabetes, Andrew, the city attorney in Rutland, Vermont, has diabetes. And we reported this to him. And he's got diabetes himself and uses insulin.
Okay.
Okay, no, wait a minute.
I have to tell the citizens, I have to take care of something regarding
Yes.
this case. I just want to show that I was here. I'm going back and forth, but I'm tending something regarding this case. That's why Susan is doing this alone by herself.
Okay, but let me get to...
Please help us. Please
Yeah.
help us. Susan's going to continue. Thank you again.
Okay, what's his name? The city attorney in Rutland, Vermont?
I believe it's Andrew.
Andrew. He's got diabetes himself, and he wears an insulin pump. Okay? And he will not help me. And the mayor, Mayor Loris of Rutland, Vermont, will not help me. He says, little old me, because in the beginning, I was writing letters to the Rutland City Police. Police Officer Bosley, the chief of police, never responds to me. So we went to Mayor Loris, and he says, I understand, Susan, that you're getting counterfeit insulins, and I understand there's RICO activities, but the police don't want to do anything, and I don't have any power to make the police do their duties. So I told him, really? You're only the mayor. You're above the police. If the police don't perform their duties, you make them perform their duties. So Mayor Loris is like going underneath the table like a little kid because I have to reprimand him. It's all about bribes. The entire Rutland city has been bribed. Then there's the Board of Aldermen. It's a bunch of Masons. Okay, Masons are devils. We went to a meeting there. In the middle of us explaining what's going on, the head of the Board of Aldermen, who thinks that his SHIT doesn't stink, says, all right, Mrs. Tropeano, stop now. We understand your story, but we have no control to help you. Can you believe this? I'm talking about the pharmacist in Rutland, Vermont, dispensing counterfeit insulins, not giving me my prescriptions, confiscating my prescriptions, making up that I don't have insurance cards, keep you there for 8 hours until the police come to deliver the counterfeit insulins, okay, with these dirty, seedy characters who carry bags of boxes, and they throw it at the pharmacist, and then the pharmacist, after 8 hours of waiting, gives it to me. I get these old, dirty boxes of insulin, old batches of insulin, okay, and I give it straight back to them. One time I was so desperate, I took one of those boxes, and my numbers skyrocketed. Okay? This is outrageous. This doesn't happen in the United States of America. This is all because Phyllis Limewan does not want to be discovered for what she committed with my family. She blackmailed, bribed, brainwashed, and threatened members of our family. The relationships with certain people that Phyllis Limewan knows, with my sister and my brother-in-law,
Watch the clock.
yes, I'm watching the clock, okay, are so convoluted and so complex. We really have to sit down with someone to explain it all. But Phyllis Limewan was able to manipulate this entire American family and destroy them. My dear mother is now lying in her grave because of Phyllis Limewan. They want to kill me as well. They want to kill Joe. And I'm warning everyone. I'm warning the police and the cult. You don't lay a finger on us. Not one finger. Because if you do, it will revert back to you. Okay? And Mario Tusco downstairs, he looks mad as hell. Because we were supposed to be dead already. Okay? We have one murderous situation after another. I explained to you what happened in the Target parking lot, but I really can't explain it in all detail because it would take too long to write. But every time we go outside, if we're not going to be poisoned, murdered, there's always something happening. And if we expose the corruption, the police come and they act like Gestapo. Okay? We have no laws in our lives. We need the laws restored back in our lives. Please, citizens of the world, help us. Please, This cannot continue. This is an American atrocity, okay? And we don't want to die. And I never thought that I would have to go on YouTube to plead for our lives. Please, citizens of the world, help us. Help us, please. Thank you.